Welcome to a pivotal moment in the world of broadcast as we proudly present the Men's Mental Health Show featuring the renowned Larry Mabry in collaboration with the Maassen Group. This essential exploration of men's mental health wouldn't be possible without the invaluable support of Rainier Avenue Radio World. Now, let's dive into this crucial conversation with Larry Mabry and the Maassen Group. Your mental well-being matters. Here's Larry Mabry.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing here on this beautiful, beautiful Monday, January 29th, 2024? Last week, we talked a little bit about believing in yourself, having confidence. Oh, you know what? Before we go there, real quick, I want to send a shout out to Rainier Avenue Radio World. Appreciate them allowing me to broadcast here for those individuals looking to get caught up with their mental health. Also, too, real quick, wanted to remind everyone that this Thursday starts the call to conscience. This Thursday will be the 1st of February. And so we're going to start our call to conscience here at the Black History Museum. That's going to be from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So make sure you guys get your family down. That should be a really cool experience. That's going to start this Thursday. It's going to run from February 1st all the way through February 29th. We have some pretty cool installations there. We have the Seattle Black Panther Party. We have the Black Heritage Society of Washington. Looks like we have the Negro League Baseball, Seattle Steelheads, NAACP, Washington, Alaska, Oregon. Also, wanted to bring you guys up to this situation here with Ezell's. Ezell's will be here as well this Saturday. They're going to be it's going to be Ezell's Famous Chicken from 1 o'clock here at the Columbia City Theater. So make sure you guys get down. There'll be live coverage. Come down and get some famous Ezell Famous Chicken here. So, all right, cool. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Last week, we talked a little bit about being confident and what does that look like, right? So, for those individuals who are there, just want to say, hey, hello. It's good to see you guys. Hopefully, you guys are sticking to your resolutions. One of my resolutions is to work on my mental health. And people may say, well, what does that look like? Well, basically, it's about setting up boundaries. It's about dealing with what I like to call shadows, certain things within yourself that you have to work through. And sometimes it can be hidden, right? It could be things that people may point out, or if you find that you're getting angry with something, making sure you do some work to kind of work on that so that you could be, a better, more evolved person, right? I want to share a little bit about this before I kind of go into the confidence slides here today. Why would it be important for somebody to kind of work on themselves? Why do you think that's important? I asked myself this question because I remember back when I was in Detroit, I would say I had some anger issues way back in the day before I ended up kind of getting into this work. And I remember one time I was applying for a job, and the individual gave me a test, like a quiz I had to take. And what was really fascinating with the quiz was it talked about my personality. Like, it's like a personality quiz, and it was color coordinated. And I thought it was very interesting. And basically there was like a blue color, which represented like emotions. Red color, I believe, was passion. Orange, I think, was anger or excitement, or creativity. I think creativity. Green was like people who were very logical. And it was a very fascinating quiz that I took because it gave me an insight to really take responsibility for my actions and kind of how I am as a person. And we ended up, from that quiz, we actually ended up having a workshop, and it actually kind of changed my life. It changed my life because what ended up happening was I realized that everyone has their own personalities. Some personalities complement other personalities. Some personalities actually support. Some personalities are actually in opposition with other personalities. But why is this important? Well, this is important because I learned that, okay, if I know more about myself, I understand how to work with other people, right? Because we all have situations where maybe we're tired, we're frustrated, we're hangry, we didn't eat enough. And everyone could be in that situation, right? So if I learn more about myself and I was humble and a little bit more compassionate towards myself, then I found I could be a little bit more compassionate and understanding towards other people. So I wanted to share that. So, all right, cool. Without further ado, let's get started. So, believe in yourself. So, when you're believing in yourself, basically, it means that you have faith in who you are and what you can accomplish, right? Not surprisingly, it's a vital step in building your self confidence, but starting to believe in yourself and trusting your skills and judgments may not be easy. It involves changing many of your negative attitudes or attributes towards yourself through further self reflection and self discovery. So earlier I talked about that because that could be a challenge. Um, I know for me, a lot of times people would say things back in the day when I was in Detroit. That energy in that particular state was very different than how things are here for me, from my perspective. I have friends, we talk about this a lot as far as as you go further to the West Coast or East Coast, it's a little bit different energy than you get to the West Coast. But what I noticed was I was a little bit more forthright, a little bit more direct. Um, and I remember someone asked me, why are you so aggressive? And I had to step back and say, wow, I guess you're right. I am a little aggressive, right? And I had to ask myself, yeah, why am I aggressive? Right. And it's different if you're trying to defend yourself, but not everything and everybody is put you in a situation where you basically have to be defensive or defend some things. And so I had to do some introspection with that. And you may say, well, what's introspection? Well, let's be honest with yourself. Having one of those friends or a few people you could talk to just keep it real with you, that you can have those real conversations so you can work on those things are very, 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 very important. So how do you actually have self-reflection? If there's some people that want to chime in, you tell me, right? I see some people here on Instagram. How does one have self-reflection? What are some things you could do to actually have self-reflection, right? But one, you got to be honest with yourself, right? It could be a challenge if you are around people who don't allow that, or if you're around an environment where people aren't being honest, that can be tough. Also, too, sometimes you may have some things hidden. So you may have self-discovery where I know for me, I'll be honest. I like to be open and honest here. Earlier on, I would say in my career, I noticed that it was a challenge for me to even speak. So for me to actually be here in front of you is like a huge, huge growth because there's times where I didn't feel comfortable speaking. And I think it was some things that I had to heal, but I realized that everyone has a voice, right? For those people that remember that movie with my man, who was it? The one rapper who was I think he was in a particular was he like a pimp or something, and he was rapping, and he basically talked about having a voice, right? So it's important for everyone has a voice, and I realized that was very important. Um, and I wanted to kind of share something too. When I was younger, I would say I was about what 5, 6, 7 years old. I met a young lady, actually an older woman who lived in our community. Her name was Miss Gilroy, and back then, I'm sharing my age there, but basically back then, what we would do is we would try to help people in the community in order to make money. And so she was an elderly lady in the community, and she was part of this organization called Aware. Um, and she introduced me to a lot of things. So I would go to her house on Mondays and take her trash, and she would invite me in, and she would show me so many cool things and take me to the community. And it was such a really cool experience because um, I learned so much about nature in that situation. But it was cool because she also helped me discover some things about myself. So I was able to kind of go to the pool. We would go to the pool together. She would take me to certain experiences, and it just allowed me to kind of see some things and discover some things from that. And she would always ask me certain questions. Well, how are you doing? How are things going in the community? That type of thing. And because she was a little bit older, she had like a motherly type of vibe, but she really forced me to really have self discovery, and I appreciated her for that. And it actually, she helped me believe in myself because there's some things that she saw in me that I didn't even see when I was that young. And I remember one time she took me to this particular community meeting. It was called Aware, and for like, I want to say 3 months, I consistently made sure her trash was out, made sure I took care of some things around her house. And she really appreciated that because she wasn't really able to walk around because she had a issue with her leg. And so she invited me to this meeting, and it was such a like a new environment. I was a little nervous, and I had certain negative thoughts about myself because I didn't really know. But it was really cool because she introduced me to the individuals in that community, and I got a chance to kind of stand up and kind of talk. And it helped me realize that my voice is really important, right? And sometimes you'll have people in your community that help you see that. But she passed away, I would say, many years later, but she was kind of always in my heart to kind of help me like have that inner voice, right? Here I was in Detroit, African American male. Met this Caucasian older woman. It looked very interesting, but when I was younger, it didn't matter. Like, you just want to just kind of hang out and learn some things. But what I really appreciated was she was very loving, she's very supportive, and she just believed in me, right? And it helped me to kind of believe in myself. So being around people to kind of help you see yourself is really, really important. So make sure you're around authentic people. Okay. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, you wouldn't expect to achieve anything meaningful, and therefore you would be less likely to chase your dreams. Let's talk about that. So what happens if you're not confident? What are some action steps that you're doing? What are some things you're doing in your life? Well, you're not going to really like have that inertia or that energy to really exert things that you're not, if you're not focused on some things, right? Thus, you'll pass up on opportunities in accepting the inevitability of failure. As a result, your dreams will never turn into your reality. So I want to talk about that for a second. I remember having a conversation with someone, and they shared with me how they didn't really like failing. And I said, well, what did you mean? And they're like, well, you know what? Every time I put in effort, I fail. I said, well, actually, failure is a very important part of success. So I said, let me just give you another perspective. Think about when you're a baby, right? You're a baby, you learn how to walk, you stand up, you look around, you notice all the adults around are learning how to walk. I mean, you just see it around you, right? When you're a baby, how many times do you think the baby falls and wonders, I don't know if I'll be able to walk? Probably nothing, no time, right? I would say that the baby pretty much is so focused on walking because from the baby's point of view, everyone around them is walking. So it doesn't matter how many times the baby falls, eventually the baby gets up, maybe braces on a particular wall, or maybe holds someone's hand, or maybe has a stroller or a walker. But eventually the legs will get strong. And then what happens? The baby learns how to walk. And I would just implore you to have that same type of mentality, right? To believe in yourself like a baby, right? Look at it like a new experience and have fun with the journey. And I think you'll get a lot better with that, right? Okay. So, how can you start believing in yourself? It might be a good idea to turn inward to figure out the reasons why you may lack faith at the first step. But the more aspects you struggle with, the likelier you are to engage in negative self-talk, and more likely you are to doubt yourself. So let's talk about that for a second. We all have those, negative Nancy's or things about ourselves that we think that we can improve upon. Um, we've all been there. What I would say or just suggest to people is focus on your strengths, right? What are some things you're really, 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 really good at? And the things that you're working on, just work on them a little bit at a time. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, so now I want us to look into an exercise. Why do we struggle with negative self-belief? So now we're going to do this exercise. I want you to take a moment, consider the statements below, and respond honestly whether you agree or disagree with them. Note any reasons for your answer, if any. All right, so the first one. If you want to, for those individuals that are on Instagram, if you want to reach out, you can. Or if you want to do it by yourself, that's fine too. I value myself as a human being. Think about that. I have a lot to contribute to my career, society, or relationships. And it's just your own personal belief system about yourself. I feel good about my skills and abilities. I have good qualities. My opinions are valuable. I trust my judgments. I trust my decisions. Think about, why are those questions important to ask yourself, right? If you notice, the beginning of each of those statements, they start with I. So it's what you believe about yourself. Now, no one else has the opportunity to believe what they want to believe about you. At the end of the day, what you believe about yourself is really what matters, right? So, for example, if someone says something negative to you, like a derogatory term or something like that, you have to agree with what they're saying based on what they're saying. So let me give you an example. Someone says, "Oh, Larry, you're stupid." That's a comment that someone shares with me. I have to ask myself, and this is something internally I'm asking myself, am I stupid? And this might be subconscious to self, and I'm not. So if I put energy in allowing their comment to infiltrate who I am, then that's a negative belief, right? So these types of comments or these types of beliefs are very important, because it's important that you're constantly plugging into or depositing into these particular aspects of yourself. So, for example, if you're around somebody who never trusts your judgments, or they're always debating with you, or saying, "Are you sure?" Then what's that's going to do? That's going to break down you having trust in yourself, right? Or what about making decisions, right? If you're making really bad decisions, then that's going to break down your belief of yourself. Okay. What are some good skills that you have or abilities, right? Maybe you're a good talker, right? Maybe you're a good negotiator. Maybe you're really good at shopping. Maybe you're good at cooking, right? Or maybe you're a good dancer, right? It doesn't matter. It's whatever you're good at. Okay. All right, cool. Let's go to the next one. All right, let's continue a couple other comments. Can I rely on myself? That's a powerful one, right? How many times have you said, "Okay, I'm going to take care of that"? And guess what? You don't take care of it. Who do you let down in that situation? You let down yourself, right? Well, here's the thing. If you don't put any energy into yourself, can you really expect other people to put energy into you? Let's be honest, right? People desire to have people who are there of their word, people of their word. But if you're not even handling your own word and you're not there for yourself, what type of precedents are you setting for people, right? Also, once I start something, I know I will follow through. That's important. Very, very important, right? Have you sometimes said, "Oh, okay, first of the year, I'm going to start this workout regimen." And then by the third week, what happens? And it might not be a workout regimen. It could be something else. We've all been there, right? So I'm not saying this for you to judge yourself. What I would suggest is try to find one thing that you can do to improve upon, right? So, for example, let's say you want to work on getting better with losing weight, and man, you know what? I'm not going to be up to be that person getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing that. No, no, I can't do that with my schedule. But what you could do is you might say, you know what? Find that one thing that you can do that you can commit to. So maybe it's going outside, going for a walk around the neighborhood, right? Getting the raincoat out, because we're in Seattle, so there's always going to be some rain somewhere around there, right? So get that raincoat out, get the galoshes out, get the umbrella, go for a walk. Why is that important? Well, this is training you for you to take responsibility for yourself, right? And as you add more time with yourself, what ends up happening is you build your confidence, right? You change your belief system. You start to feel better. You breathe in fresh air. All of a sudden, you have better ideas. You see yourself from a different perspective. Then guess what? Now you have more mental capacity, and then you can add one more other thing, right? Whatever that you decide to do. Okay. All right. Let's look at some other why do people struggle self-belief comments or exercises. Okay, nothing can stop me from reaching my goals. What about this one? I am effective at getting what I want. Are you effective? I direct my own behavior. Very, very important, because sometimes we can get caught up in a group of people and we allow the group to kind of take over our actions because we're kind of caught up in that. But we have to be responsible for our own actions. I am able to choose my own path. Also, I have faith that my efforts will bring me success. Now, here's the thing that's really interesting. is if you put in enough effort in something, no matter what you do, you'll be successful. Period. Period. Right? So if you commit to something for a period of time, you will always be successful. Now, if you fail, it's okay. Right? I like to say this: if you fall on one knee, it's okay. Maybe take a break, get up, wipe it off, do it again. Maybe try the next knee, right? Look at it from a different angle. Because if you do it enough, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be successful with it, even though you stumble through it. Okay. Plus, what you're building there too is you're building character for yourself and also courage. Because even though things are challenging, you're not just giving up and quitting. All right, let's move on. Okay, so before we talked about by believing in yourself, you got to have what we call the developing a growth mindset. And I talked about that before, right? And does anybody remember when we talked about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset? I don't know if anybody want to chime in. For those individuals there, do you know the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset? I'll give you guys a couple comments, a couple of times if you want to chime in. What's the difference? Do you know? Okay, no worries. So fixed mindset is basically when people, they think with intelligence and talents and basically focus on what the skills that they have that they're born with, and they're kind of limited as far as their point of view. They kind of look at certain levels of intelligence and kind of focus on that, and you think that you always have that level of intelligence no matter what you do, but it's fixed. Like you don't really deviate from that growth mindset. Now the growth mindset is the opposite. Basically, individuals with a growth mindset, they believe that there's always a room for improvement. They're looking at different qualities. They're coming from a creative point of view. And I think what happens is it leaves your mind flexible, right? Why is that important? Well, I think it's important because if you think about the difference between ice and water, right? Water is able to kind of permeate and go through like in between things, right? But if you have ice and you put it in a cup, right, it's going to be kind of limited. It's going to be kind of fixed. But if you add water, the water can kind of go around in between, underneath, right? And so when you have that growth mindset, it allows you to see things from so many different angles, which can allow you to actually come up with solutions. But also, you realize that you won't really have a negative aspect of yourself because you'll see different perspectives. Then you could try those things, and you notice that you'll be successful. Okay? All right, cool. All right, so we're going to exercise our growth mindset versus our fixed mindset real quick. So, growth mindset, you will say things like, I can improve my skills if I try. In a fixed mindset, you will say things like, I'm either skilled at something or not skilled at something, right? That's the difference. In a growth mindset, challenges help you grow. But in a fixed mindset, challenges are too unpleasant. Now, granted, challenges can be unpleasant, but the key is to not stay there, right? Because if you notice, every time you're successful with a challenge, you end up growing out of it. Then you realize, okay, I'm ready for the next challenge. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you get some brand new shoes. Even though they fit perfectly, what ends up happening? When they're fresh, you put your foot in there, you're trying to work it out. It's a little tight, a little rough. You got to break it in, you got to kind of run around with it a little bit. And after a while, what happens? They get old, and then it's time to re-up and get a new pair of shoes, right? Sometimes people get comfortable with those shoes and they don't want to ever give them away, right? But it's time to let them go and transcend and go to another level, which helps you with that growth mindset. All right? Okay, cool. Also, a growth mindset, basically, you'll ask for help if you need it. But with a fixed mindset, you ask for help, but you think that you're being stupid by asking for help, right? And so that's that negative self-talk. And here's the thing. There's so many things out here that can help you improve, but you have to take the initiative to improve yourself. Okay. The growth mindset, mistakes are part of the process. I can learn from them. The fixed mindset, mistakes are embarrassing. I try to avoid them. Now, check this out. Raise your hand if you've never made a mistake. There'll probably be no hands out here. I'll raise my hand because I make mistakes all the time. However, the key though is to be able to laugh at yourself, learn from those mistakes, and move on. Okay? It's okay. We make mistakes. Now, granted, I understand that some mistakes can be very costly, can be deadly, things of that nature. I get it. However, be light on yourself. Take it easy on yourself. Okay. Okay. So, all right, we're gonna wrap it here for now. We're getting close to our time, but real quick, I just want to say a quick shout out to Ezel's Chicken, Famous Chicken. They'll be here this Saturday from 1 o'clock here at the Columbia City Theater. Also, to our next guest, she'll be coming on shortly, Dr. Tracy Harrell, and check her show out, Better Together and Living Powerfully, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And one more shout out to, make sure you guys take a look at the Call to Conscience Black History Museum that's going to start this Thursday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure you guys take a look at it. It's going to be here every single day to show representation for Black History Month. A lot of cool things here in Seattle, so make sure you guys take a look at it and tell me what you like. Okay. Real quick, a few people that are going to be here. We're going to have Ezel's Famous Chicken will be here this Saturday. Also, to Seattle Black Panther Party installation, as well as the Black Prisoners Caucus. Also, too, make sure you guys take a look at the Rainier Cinema Black movie posters too. Okay. All right, cool, guys. So without further ado, I'm going to say peace. See you guys next week. I appreciate you guys chiming in. Oh, real quick, let me know too, guys, if you guys want us to do a radio show where we basically call in and you guys answer some questions, or I ask some questions, you guys kind of call in. So looking forward to checking you guys next week. Peace and love. You guys have a good one. Thank you. Deuces.